HSK9, Radio Thailand World Service, broadcasting from Bangkok for listeners in Asia and the Pacific, the Middle East and Africa, Europe and America. It is now time for our broadcast in English for listeners in Europe.
Live from the Public Relations Department of the Royal Thai Government, this is Radio Thailand News.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ
I'm Chawarat Yongjidanon.
And I'm Warisa Niranat Gomon.
Making the national headlines. The Privy Council President visits a royally initiated hill tribe development project in Mae Hong Son province. Meanwhile, the CCSA reports 64 new imported as well as locally transmitted cases of COVID-19 with no new fatalities. On the business agenda, a local trading policy office reports that Thailand's inflation rate in February has shown a slowdown for the 12th month. We'll now give you the details on those headlines and many more.
National News.
In national news, the Election Commission, or EC, has unveiled the Civic Education app to allow members of the public to access information on polls, political parties, and candidates from the local to national level. The Civic Education app was officially launched on March 5th. The purpose of the platform is to foster an understanding of a democratic monarchy, facilitate public voting, and assist the work of educational institutions and speakers. EC member Titi Shed Nuchanat indicated that the app contains important voting information, including constitutional laws governing elections, party regulations, and announcements from the EC. Users can also use the app, available for both iOS and Android, to view candidate and party data to support decision-making. EC member Pakorn Mahannop spoke of the runoff election in Nakhon Si Thammarat province, saying no complaints have been filed so far and campaigning has gone smoothly. He assured the public that the commission is ready for a municipal and mayoral election set for March 27th and urged members of the public to exercise their voting rights.
The Center for COVID-19 Situation Administration, or CCSA, has reported 64 new imported as well as locally transmitted cases of COVID-19 with no new fatalities. According to the CCSA's latest report, the national tally stands at 26,305 cases in total, with 85 deaths. Of the new cases, 54 were locally transmitted and 10 were imported. The report also indicated that another 45 patients have made full recoveries, leaving 534 still hospitalized. For the full breakdown, follow the official CCSA Twitter handle at COVID-19 Thailand. Meanwhile, Deputy Spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Natapanu Nopakun, reiterated that Thailand's vaccination plan has three major objectives: to reduce the risk of infections and deaths, to protect the public health system, and to help propel the economy and society forward. He added that the plan is divided into two major phases. The first phase involves distributing vaccines to priority provinces from now until April. The second phase involves a wider distribution from April onward. 8 hospitals across the country are the first to receive solar cells from the campaign between the Ministries of Public Health and Energy in a bid to reduce electricity bills at hospitals. Deputy Prime Ministers Anutin Chanvirakul and Supatanaphong Panmichao, who also serve as the Ministers of Public Health and Energy respectively, jointly presided over the launch ceremony to install solar cells at 77 hospitals across the country. The project is part of a clean energy promotion campaign. Each solar array can produce 100 kilowatts, which theoretically would save each hospital 720,000 baht a year in electricity bills, or 18 million baht over the course of the solar cell's 25-year lifetime. The savings could then be reallocated to improve patient care. Under the campaign, an initial 8 hospitals have completed installation. They include Sai Noi Hospital in Nonthaburi, U Thong Hospital in Suphanburi, Ban Bung Hospital in Chonburi, Khun Han Hospital in Sri Saket,
ยานตาขาว Hospital in ตรัง หลังสวน Hospital in ชุมพร ปลวกแดง Hospital in ระยอง and บางบ่อ Hospital in สมุทรปราการ
The Ministry of Finance has indicated that it already transferred the first 4,000 baht to Raushana participants without a smartphone who registered between February 15th to the 21st. Additional 1,000 baht payouts are to take place every Friday until reaching the campaign total of 7,000 baht. Citizens who receive the stipends and do not have a smartphone can use their national ID card to purchase goods and services at participating vendors, including at EDC-equipped Blue Flag stores, Tungan Blue Flag stores, and shops registered under the Kopay and Raushana schemes. The funds can also be used on public transportation, as well as taxis, passenger vans, and the SkyTrain. Those who registered between February 22nd and March 5th will hear the results of their vetting on March 15th and receive their first payout on March 19th. People who registered at worldwideweb.raushana.com but had to give up their participation due to the lack of a smartphone and then registered through the special needs channel between February 15th and 21st will hear the result of their vetting on March 11th and receive aid on March 12th. March 5th was the final day for non-smartphone holders to seek participation via Krung Thai Bank branches, government saving bank branches, or any of the over 3,500 mobile registration units stationed nationwide.
The Energy Regulatory Commission, or ERC, has decided to freeze the variable fuel tariff, or FT charge, putting the cost of electricity at 3.61 baht per unit for another 4 months until August billing cycle, in a bid to help reduce the people's living expenses. The FT charge has been frozen at negative 15.32 satang per unit as a government subsidy on energy costs. The 4-month subsidy will cost the ERC 2.61 billion baht. However, ERC Secretary General Komkrit Tantrawanit said that after the freeze, the FT charge will likely increase to negative 7.42 satang per unit. He explained that the energy subsidy is being reduced due to the weakening Thai baht and rising global oil prices. The subsidy reduction is expected to increase electricity costs to 3.68 baht per unit during the September to the December billing cycles. The Prime Minister hailed the arrival of 200,000 doses of China's Sinovac vaccine last week as a sign of tight relations between the two countries. Prime Minister and Defense Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha made the comment during his podcast, giving assurance that the next batches of 800,000 and 1 million doses from China will arrive in due course. The Premier reported that the government has already distributed 116,000 doses of the vaccine to 13 provinces, including Bangkok and its surrounding provinces of Samut Sakhon, Pathum Thani, Nonthaburi, and Samut Prakan. He added that the cabinet recently approved a budget of 6.3 billion baht to purchase another batch of 35 million doses of vaccine from AstraZeneca in order to inoculate at least half of the population by the end of the year. Turning to other matters, General Prayut also urged members of the public to use water more sparingly. The Meteorological Department has announced that Thailand has officially entered the summer season, which means haze and hot weather conditions. Those were our national stories.
Business news.
In business headlines, the Trade Policy and Strategy Office, or TPSO, has reported that inflation slowed for a 12th straight month in February as a result of the government's measures to help reduce living costs. The office said that the February headline inflation has been recorded at 98.88, showing a 1.17% decline year-on-year and a slowdown for the 12th consecutive month since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. TPSO Director General Pusit Ratanakul Seri Rungrit revealed that February's inflation rate slowed due to government measures to reduce living costs, from utility subsidies to discounts on household goods. The office reported that prices rose for 218 items, fell for 145 items, and stood flat for 61 items. Without government measures, the inflation rate would shrink by only 0.12%. Director General Pusit said that the inflation would make a rebound to positive growth from April onwards, as indicated by signs of recovery in the manufacturing sector and consumption, an increase in exports for the second month, and the government's continuous measures to reduce living costs, boost purchasing power, and stimulate the economy. The Federation of Thai Capital Market Organizations, or FEDCO, has released optimistic figures from its Investor Confidence Index, or ICI, survey, thanks to a decrease in new COVID-19 cases and the rollout of vaccines across Thailand. FEDCO's forward ICI for the next 3 months has risen to 152.19 points, or 14.8% from the previous month. Business sentiment among domestic instructions grew a modest 10%, but international investors proved more bullish with a 46% increase. However, the survey indicated that the confidence index for individual investors and brokers has declined slightly, shifting to short-term investments due to concerns of volatility. FEDCO's chairman, Phaiboon Nalintarangkoon, revealed that investors are anticipating a de-escalation in the COVID-19 situation here in Thailand after the first vaccine doses were administered. The government has already allocated funding to procure another 30 million doses. He added that fewer reported cases of COVID-19 also contributed to investor confidence. He expects international investments to begin returning to Thailand, with stocks in the tourism and recreational businesses being the most sought after, followed by commercial banks and energy. Chinese Premier Li Keqiang has pledged to promote business ties with the United States based on, quote, mutual respect that benefit both countries. The world's two largest economies have been at odds over trade and economic policy, especially when it comes to U.S. efforts to restrict tech exports to China, and terrorists both have put on each other's goods. This week, U.S. President Joe Biden singled out a, quote, growing rivalry with China as a key challenge facing the United States, with his top diplomat describing the Asian country as, quote, the biggest geopolitical test of this century. In his annual work report at the opening of the annual meeting of China's parliament, Li said his country wanted to work with the United States. Li said that China will promote the growth of mutually beneficial China-U.S. business relations on the basis of equality and mutual respect, without giving details. The United States has also repeatedly complained about market access problems in China for its companies. Biden's U.S. Trade Representative nominee, Catherine Tai, said on Monday she would work to fight a range of, quote, unfair Chinese trade and economic practices, and would seek to treat Chinese censorship as a trade barrier. Western Australia has upgraded an inquiry into Crown Resorts Limited to a high-powered royal commission, saying it needed to ensure that there were sufficient legal protections to investigation in casino operator. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I'm Marisa Niranat Gomon. Sawadee ka.
And I'm Shawarat Yongjiranun. Sawadee ka.
Live from the Public Relations Department of the Royal Thai Government, that was News Hour.
That concludes our program in English. For listeners in Europe,